The Vexteri warship emerged from hyperspace like a silver needle threading through the fabric of reality. Captain Marvel stood on her command deck, multiple rows of luminescent eyes fixed on the viewscreen showing Earth's orbital defense platforms. Her crystalline exoskeleton refracted the soft blue light of the bridge, creating dancing patterns across the walls. "Primitive," she muttered, mandibles clicking in disappointment. "Their most advanced weapons are barely beyond nuclear fission. How did they even detect our probe?" Her first officer, Zexna, pulled up a holographic display showing the remains of their stealth probe. "They didn't just detect it, Captain. They disabled it using electromagnetic pulses calibrated exactly to its shielding frequency, something no Level 2 civilization should be capable of." The Vexteri had appointed themselves guardians of the galaxy millennia ago, categorizing species by technological advancement. Level 2 civilizations like humanity were considered barely worth monitoring, capable of spaceflight but centuries away from true interstellar travel. "Open communications," Marvel ordered. "Let's see how they respond to formal first contact." The response came faster than expected. A holographic projection materialized on their bridge, a human woman in a crisp uniform, her dark skin contrasting with silver-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth's United Defense Force. We've been expecting you." Marvel's crystalline form stiffened. "Expecting us? Impossible. Our stealth technology." "Was impressive," Chen interrupted, a slight smile playing at her lips. "But we've been watching you watch us for quite some time. Welcome to Earth's orbit. I trust you'll find our defensive capabilities sufficient to warrant a civilized discussion." Marvel's bridge crew exchanged uncertain glances. Their scans showed nothing beyond the visible defense platforms, but something about the Admiral's confidence was unsettling. "We are the Vexteri, guardians of this sector. We've come to evaluate your species' development and ensure you pose no threat to galactic stability." Chen's smile widened. "Funny. We were about to suggest the same thing." Suddenly, hundreds of signatures appeared on the Vexteri sensors, emerging from what appeared to be dimensional pockets around Earth's orbit. Small, agile ships with technology that somehow masked their energy signatures completely until they chose to reveal themselves. "Impossible," Zexna whispered. "Their technological level is exactly what we chose to show you," Chen finished. "Humanity learned long ago that appearing less advanced than we are has distinct advantages. Now, shall we discuss this Guardian situation as equals? We have some concerns about how you've been handling the Proxima Centauri sector." Marvel's crystalline form shifted colors rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among her species. They had come to evaluate a primitive civilization, only to find themselves being evaluated instead. Worse, these humans had seemingly mastered technologies the Vexteri had never even conceived of. "Very well," Marvel managed, her translator struggling to maintain composure in her voice. "We accept your invitation to discuss." As arrangements were made for a formal meeting, Marvel couldn't shake the feeling that everything the Vexteri thought they knew about emerging civilizations was about to change. These humans weren't just clever. They had fundamentally changed the rules of the game. And somewhere in the back of her mind, a terrifying thought emerged. What else were they capable of that the self-proclaimed guardians of the galaxy hadn't detected? The first diplomatic summit was scheduled for Earth's orbital station, Harmony 1. As Marvel prepared for the meeting, she received a disturbing report. 3 other Vexteri observation posts had just discovered similar technological revelations from species they'd classified as primitive. All of them referenced human consulting. The Guardians were about to learn they weren't the only ones watching over the galaxy, and perhaps, Marvel reflected, it was time for the Watchers to be watched. The meeting on Harmony 1 had barely concluded when humanity dropped their second bombshell. Admiral Chen had casually mentioned an ancient derelict fleet discovered in the Carina Nebula, a region the Vexteri had declared off-limits due to dangerous spatial anomalies. "You ventured into forbidden space." Marvel's crystalline form pulsed with alarmed patterns. Those warnings were placed for your protection. Chen leaned back in her chair, the station's artificial gravity compensating smoothly for her movement. Actually, we found your warning beacons fascinating. They led us straight to something you'd missed. The Admiral activated a holographic display, showing massive ships drifting in the nebula's purple-tinged gases. Their design was unlike anything the Vexteri had ever encountered. Organic curves melded with geometric precision, their hulls seemingly woven from strands of dark matter itself. The predecessor fleet, Chen said quietly. Your people called them myths. We call them an opportunity. Marvell's scientific officer, Kixtel, moved closer to the display. These ships are dead. We discovered them centuries ago. Their technology is beyond even our understanding. Beyond your understanding, Chen corrected. But you never thought to ask why they were there, did you? You saw technology you couldn't comprehend and declared the area forbidden. We saw a mystery to solve. The Admiral pressed another control. The hologram shifted, showing humans in specialized suits moving through the ancient vessels. Their systems weren't dead. They were dormant, waiting for someone to understand their true purpose. Marvell's translator crackled with disbelief. You claim to understand technology that predates our civilization. Not initially, Chen admitted, but we approached it differently. Your people tried to analyze it through your own technological framework. We started by asking why a fleet of this size would be abandoned in the first place. A hologram shifted again, showing complex mathematical equations and what appeared to be musical notation. The ship's control systems don't respond to traditional inputs. They respond to harmony, mathematical and musical patterns that reflect the fundamental frequencies of the universe itself. Kixtel's crystalline form nearly shattered in shock. That's impossible. Control systems can't work that way. Chen smiled. According to whose laws of physics? Yours? We found something beautiful in that nebula. The predecessors didn't build warships or cargo haulers. They built instruments, a symphony of vessels designed to maintain the very fabric of space-time through resonance. The implications hit Marvell like a physical blow. The spatial anomalies aren't anomalies at all, Chen finished. They're degrading harmonic patterns. The fleet was maintaining them, until something happened to its crew. When the ships went dormant, the patterns began to decay. Your people found dangerous distortions and ran. We found an abandoned orchestra and learned to play it. The Admiral's eyes met Marvell's multiple sets. We've spent the last decade restoring the ships one by one, learning their songs, understanding their purpose. And now we need your help. Our help. Marvell's confusion was evident in her color shifts. What could we possibly offer if you've already mastered this technology? Chen's expression grew serious. Because we've discovered what happened to the predecessors, why they abandoned their posts. And if we don't act together, history is about to repeat itself on a galactic scale. She activated one final hologram, a pattern of darkness spreading between the stars, consuming light itself. The void between harmonies is growing. The predecessors fled from it, hoping it would burn itself out. Instead, it's been growing for millennia. And now it's hungry. Marvell watched the simulation with growing horror as entire star systems vanished into the spreading darkness. How long? Without intervention. 2 years, standard time. With the fleet at full capacity, we might have a chance, but we need every space-faring race working together. The predecessors failed because they tried to face it alone. The Vexteri captain looked at the humans around her, beings her people had dismissed as primitive barely a day ago. They had not only discovered and understood the galaxy's greatest mystery, but had already begun working on a solution. Perhaps, Marvell said slowly, it's time for the Guardians to learn some new songs. Chen's smile returned, but there was steel behind it. Welcome to humanity's orchestra, Captain. Shall we begin your first lesson? The learning curve was steeper than anyone had anticipated. 3 months into the training program, Even the crystalline minds of the Vexteri struggled to grasp the complexities of harmonic space-time manipulation. What humans called music was proving to be far more than mere entertainment. Again, Chen instructed, standing before the assembled alien crew in Harmony One's newly constructed resonance chamber. Feel the mathematics in the melody. The ships don't respond to calculations alone. They need to feel your understanding. Marvel's crystalline form vibrated in frustration, sending rainbow patterns across the chamber's walls. This is impossible. Our species doesn't process auditory information the way yours does. We can't. Chen interrupted, raising an eyebrow. Look at your own form, Captain. Your entire species is built on crystalline resonance. You don't need human ears to understand harmony. You are harmony. The revelation hit Marvel like a supernova. Of course, her people had evolved from silicon-based life forms, their very consciousness transmitted through crystalline matrices. They didn't need to hear the music. They needed to become it. Everyone, step back, Marvel ordered. Her form began to pulse, not with the usual emotional patterns, but with deliberate frequencies matching the mathematical constants Chen had shown them. The chamber's instruments detected it immediately. Holographic displays erupted around them, showing wave patterns synchronizing with Marvel's resonance. In orbit above, one of the predecessor ships, dormant for millennia, stirred. By the first light, Zexna whispered, watching the readings. She's doing it. Chen smiled, but her eyes remained focused on the data streams. Not quite. Watch. The ship's response began to falter, its patterns becoming erratic. Marvel's form flickered with strain as she tried to maintain the connection. You're trying to control it, Chen said softly. The ships aren't tools to be commanded, Captain. They're partners in a dance. Let me show you. The Admiral stepped forward, closing her eyes. Her voice rose in a clear, pure note. Not singing exactly, but something more fundamental. The sound seemed to ripple through reality itself. Marvel felt it then, not through any physical sense, but through the very lattice of her crystalline being. The ship wasn't responding to Chen's voice. It was responding to the truth within the sound. The harmony wasn't just music. It was the language of existence itself. Understanding flooded through her. Marvel stopped trying to match the mathematical frequencies and instead let her form resonate with its own natural patterns. To her shock, the ship responded immediately, its systems aligning perfectly with her crystalline harmonics. There, Chen said, her voice full of satisfaction. You're not playing the ship's song. You're playing your own song and letting the ship join in. That's what we discovered in the nebula. The predecessors didn't build a fleet of ships. They built a galactic core. Around them, other Vexteri began to experiment, their crystalline forms shimmering with new understanding. Each found their own unique resonance, and slowly the dormant fleet began to wake. But it wasn't enough. The void between harmonies was growing faster than their models had predicted. Even with the Vexteri mastering the ships at an unprecedented rate, they needed more. We need to bring in the others, Chen announced during an emergency council. Every spacefaring race has something unique to offer. The Malaxi's quantum vibration technology, the Hezka's gravitic pulse drives. The void isn't just consuming space. It's consuming the very music of existence. We need a fuller orchestra. Marvel, now comfortable enough with human expressions to recognize worry, studied Chen's face. There's something you haven't told us. The Admiral nodded grimly. We found more records in the predecessor ships. The void, it's not a natural phenomenon. It's a weapon. Someone, or something, is deliberately trying to silence the galaxy's song. The revelation sent shockwaves through the chamber. The Vexteri had always considered themselves the galaxy's guardians, but this threat was beyond anything they had imagined. How do we fight something that eats harmony itself? Zexna asked, her crystalline form dim with concern. Chen's expression hardened with determination. By creating a harmony so powerful, so complex, that it can't be devoured. Humanity has a long history of turning chaos into art. It's time to compose the galaxy's greatest symphony, and every species will play their part. Marvell felt her form resonating with new purpose. Then let us begin recruitment, Admiral. The orchestra awaits. The recruitment drive exceeded all expectations. Within weeks, ships from dozens of species converged on Harmony 1, each bringing their own unique understanding of the universe's fundamental forces. The station, originally designed for human-Vexteri cooperation, became a bustling metropolis of interstellar diversity. But time was running out. The void has accelerated, Chen reported to the assembled representatives. The holographic display showed the darkness consuming entire star systems at an alarming rate. It's as if it knows we're organizing against it. Perhaps it does, came a haunting harmonic voice. The speaker was Tulara, a representative of the Malaxi, beings of pure energy who existed as standing waves in the quantum foam of space. Their natural state was closer to music than matter. Our deep space sensors detect purpose in its movements, Tulara continued, their form rippling with concerned frequencies. It's not random entropy, it's hunting. Marvell's crystalline structure pulsed with realization. The predecessor ships, it's tracking the remaining harmonies. Chen nodded grimly. Which means we don't have 2 years anymore. At its current rate of acceleration, we have less than 3 months before it reaches the first populated systems. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of worried voices and discordant frequencies. Chen let it continue for exactly 10 seconds before striking a pure note that cut through the chaos, bringing immediate silence. This is exactly what it wants, she said firmly. Discord, chaos, fear, but we have something it doesn't expect. She gestured to the gathered representatives. Crystalline Vexteri, Energy Wave Malaxi, the silicon-based Hezuka with their gravitic technologies, and dozens more. We have harmony through diversity. Each of your species represents a different aspect of the universe's song. Together, we're not just an orchestra. We're a new kind of music. But the predecessor ships, a Hezuka rumbled through their gravitational translator. Even at full power, they couldn't stop it. Because they were trying to maintain the old patterns, Chen countered. We're not going to play defense. We're going to compose something new. She activated another hologram, showing a complex web of interconnected frequencies. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our understanding of harmonics. It's our ability to improvise, to create new patterns from chaos. Every human culture has its own music, but we can blend them into something greater than their parts. Marvell moved closer to the display, her crystalline form refracting the light in complex patterns. You want to combine all our species' unique harmonics into a single composition. More than that, Chen smiled. I want to turn the void's own discord against it. Every species here has a different way of perceiving and interacting with the fundamental forces of the universe. Together, we can create a harmony so complex, so fundamentally true, that it can't be silenced. The Malaxi representative rippled with excitement. A meta-harmony, drawing power from the very diversity it seeks to destroy. Exactly, but we'll need everyone's full cooperation. Each species must share their deepest understanding of universal harmonics. No more secrets, no more holding back. Either we trust each other completely, or we fall separately. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Many of these species had been rivals or enemies until recently. Their harmonic understanding was central to their cultures, their very existence. Marvell felt the weight of millennia of Vexteri tradition pressing against her. They had been the self-appointed guardians for so long, keeping their own secrets while demanding transparency from others. But watching Chen stand there, offering to share humanity's understanding freely, she made her decision. The Vexteri will share everything we know, she announced, her form glowing with conviction. We were wrong to hoard knowledge in the name of protection. True harmony requires trust. One by one, other representatives made similar pledges. The Malaxi shared their quantum resonance frequencies. The Hezuka revealed the true nature of their gravitic mathematics. Species that had been isolated for millennia opened their cultural vaults. Chen watched it all with quiet satisfaction. But in her eyes, Marvell could see the weight of responsibility. They had achieved unprecedented cooperation. But would it be enough? Could they compose and master a new universal symphony in time to stop the approaching void? The answer would come sooner than any of them expected. As the last representative pledged their support, the station's sensors screamed a warning. The void had changed course again. It was heading straight for Earth. "Well," Chen said, her voice steady despite the news, "I guess we'll be performing this symphony ahead of schedule."